host families in my cluster are typically both working parents, not always. Sometimes we'll have a mom or a dad who stays home. I have host families who have one child. I have host families who have 5 children and everything in between. So I would say that most of my host families have some kind of connection to exchange. So perhaps the host mom was a foreign exchange student and lived in France for a year, or one of them speaks another language and they think it's really important to expose their children to that second language. There's usually something there that makes them choose an au pair over a nanny. They really want that cultural exchange experience. They want someone to help show their child that the world is bigger than Austin, Texas, and the USA, that there is a big world out there. So that is kind of a typical family. I have some who need help with tiny babies, so they need help during the day usually. I have some who need help getting their kids back and forth to school. Americans are very busy, so you may find a host family whose host children are doing soccer and they play the violin, and then they have basketball, and then they have hockey. So the host family may need your help getting from school to practice to home to bath to bed. So it's, again, kind of a wide variety of different types of families, but I would say the common thread is the value for the cultural exchange. The things that my host families tell me that they are looking for in an au pair and on an au pair application are number one, great childcare experience. So if you have good childcare experience, make sure you talk about it. That would be my advice for au pairs. Talk about, how you took care of your baby sister since she was born. Did you volunteer at a kindergarten? Talk about that experience. So in addition to the experience, talk about what you learned. I worked at a summer camp and it taught me confidence, communication, and patience. So talk about the experience and what you got from it. Strong driving experience. More driving is better, so practice, practice, practice your driving. Strong English skills. I would say that your video is a really great opportunity. So you present a video to your host families and the host families really love watching that video. And that's an opportunity for you to, number one, highlight your English. So talk. And also to talk about what's special about you. So think about that one thing that makes you an amazing au pair candidate. Was your mom an au pair? Your mom, your sister, your aunt, and your cousin were all au pairs. You come from a family of au pairs, or you speak 3 languages, or you have wanted to live in America since you were 5 years old. Think about what it is that makes you special and sets you apart, and then talk about that with your potential host families. The way I would describe day one, the very first day for an au pair arriving to their new host family, I tell my host families that the au pairs are going to be so tired, so very tired. So day one can be a little overwhelming. You'll be tired, you'll be thinking in a language that's not your own and speaking in a language that's not your own. So I think the most important thing for an au pair and for a host family is to be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself, and be kind to each other. And that's one thing I talk to my host families is about being patient, especially for the first 30 days. And also I tell the au pair, be patient for the first 30 days too, because this is new for the host family too. But yeah, it's kind of a mix of you're so excited and you're a little nervous and you can't remember where the bathroom is, and you're learning, but hopefully it gets a little bit easier every day, and yeah, every day a little better, and then all of a sudden you look up and feel like you have lived in America forever. I think some things that the host families and community counselors do to make an au pair feel more welcome and to ease that transition, number one, patience. I know that most community counselors assign a buddy for the au pair who arrives. So I say, oh, you know, there's Susie who lives down the street from you. She's going to be a buddy for you. And I say, Susie, take the new au pair, take Laura out for coffee or ice cream. So having friends and having that network and community makes things a lot easier. Writing everything down for the host family, I always tell them, when in doubt, write it out, because the au pair will be overwhelmed and it's hard to remember. Did they say that Johnny can have a snack at 2 o'clock or Johnny can have a snack at 4 o'clock? And Johnny can have a snack or a cereal and can't have a cereal. And so if it's something important, you have to write it all down. So that's on the host family end. And then for the community counselor, just trying to get the au pair engaged. You're coming to the cluster meeting, let's go out for coffee, and just being in touch. And you know, you get a feeling pretty quickly how an au pair is doing, and if they're you know, up and running, great. If they're not, if they're having a little bit harder time, then it's time to send in the troops and send some friends for her and take her out for coffee and just make sure that she's connecting somehow. If an au pair is feeling homesick, sometimes I will tell my host family to make sure she is going outside. I suggest to au pairs that they stay off of social media. It's very easy to be at the, you know, if your uncle is having his 50th birthday party in your home country, you can be there on Facebook or on Instagram. And it's very tempting to have one foot in your home country and one foot in the United States. I want you to have both your feet in the United States. So for host families, going out, going for pizza, going to get a pumpkin for Halloween, going to chop down the Christmas tree for the holidays, just getting outside with the real live people, not the electronic people. So that's number one. I always tell my au pairs to make sure that they're eating and sleeping, because if you are hungry and tired, something that small can feel very big. So just take care of your body. So eat, sleep, fresh air, exercise. And for especially sometimes around Christmas and the holidays, an au pair who's never been homesick will suddenly have feelings that come up out of nowhere, and they're like, what is this? I've never been homesick. What's happening here? So I encourage host families to make sure that they incorporate some of the au pair's traditions into their own celebration. So if the au pair wants to bake a special thing or cook a special thing or sing a special song or do a dance or whatever, let them bring part of their Christmas into your Christmas or whatever they celebrate. So for au pairs and expectation setting, I would say don't think about movies that you've seen about America or TV shows that you've seen about America. I say a lot to my au pairs, comparison is the enemy of happiness. It's not a good idea to say, oh, but my friend who was an au pair in America, she had her own little house and she had this and she had that. It's very important to think about what's important for you and what's good for you. It's okay to say, I want A, B, and C. But it's maybe not okay to say I want A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. So maybe think about 3 things that are important to you. I want a host family who is a little more quiet. I don't want to be at the house where there's big parties every weekend. I really want to go to school to study so-and-so. That's something you can be, have as an expectation. But I would not say, I only want to live in California, or I only want to live in New York City. I think it's really important to be open about a good fit. The best family for you might be in Kansas City, Kansas, or somewhere else. So I would say be open on things that don't matter and find the family that's a good fit for you. My advice for future au pairs is take advantage of every minute. Do not spend a single weekend in your bed, under your covers. Get out, travel, explore, see all of the 50 states if you can. Many au pairs I know have seen more of America than I have. And as far as your relationship with your host family, open and honest communication will save you problems down the road. That's my best advice, is communicate. Thank you for putting up with crazy Americans. We love having you. And that's it. Dziękuję.